Mike.
Mr. President, thank you very much. Since your philosophy is so different from President-elect Obama's, what concerns you the most about what he may attempt to do?
You know, Michael, I'm not going to speculate about what he's going to do. It's going to be, he's going to get in the Oval Office. He's going to analyze each situation, and he's going to make the decisions that he thinks is necessary. And the other thing is, when I get out of here, I'm getting off the stage. I believe there ought to be, one person in the Klieg lights at a time. And I've had my time in the Klieg lights. I'm confident, you'll catch me opining on occasion. But I wish him all the best. And people say, oh, that's just a throwaway line. No, it's not a throwaway line. The stakes are high. There is an enemy that still is out there. People can maybe try to write that off as, he's trying to set something up. I'm telling you, there's an enemy that would like to attack Americans again. There just is. That's the reality of the world. And I wish him all the very best. And, of course, he's going to have his hands full with the economy. I understand. It's tough for a lot of working people out there. The people are concerned about their economic future. One of the very difficult parts of the decision I made on the financial crisis was to use hardworking people's money to help prevent there to be a crisis. And in so doing, some of that money went into Wall Street firms that caused the crisis in the first place. I wasn't kidding when I said Wall Street got drunk and we got the hangover. And but nevertheless, President-elect Obama will find the problems and the situation surrounding problems sometimes cause people to have to make decisions that they, weren't initially comfortable with. And there is such a decision when it came to Wall Street. I mean, I had a lot of people when I went out to Midland that time say, what the heck are you doing? Boy, those people up east caused the problem. I said, I know, but if we hadn't worked to fix the problem, your situation would be worse. And anyway, I really do wish him all the best. Cheryl.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, in recent days, there's been a fair amount of discussion in legal circles about whether or not you might give preemptive pardons in advance to officials of your administration who engaged in anything from harsh interrogation tactics to perhaps dismissing U.S. attorneys. And I'd like to know, have you given any consideration to this?
I won't be discussing pardons here at this press conference. Would you like to ask another question?
Yes, I would, sir. Thank you. 4 years ago.
That's the spirit, isn't it?
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Thank you.
4 years ago, you were asked if you had made any mistakes.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to play gotcha, but I wonder, when you look back over the long arc of your presidency, do you think, in retrospect, that you have made any mistakes? And if so, what is the single biggest mistake that you may have made?
Gotcha. I have often said that history will look back and determine that which could have been done better, or mistakes I made. Clearly, putting a mission accomplished on an aircraft carrier was a mistake. It sent the wrong message. We were trying to say something differently, but nevertheless, it conveyed a different message. Obviously, some of my rhetoric has been a mistake. I thought long and hard about Katrina. Could I have done something differently? Like land Air Force One, either New Orleans or Baton Rouge. The problem with that is that law enforcement would have been pulled away from the mission, and then your questions, I suspect, would have been, how could you possibly have flown Air Force One into Baton Rouge, and police officers that were needed to expedite traffic out of New Orleans were taken off the task to look after you? I believe that running the Social Security idea right after the '04 elections was a mistake. I should have argued for immigration reform. And the reason why is that, you know, one of the lessons I learned as governor of Texas, by the way, is legislative branches tend to be risk adverse. In other words, sometimes legislatures have the tendency to ask, why should I take on a hard task when the crisis is not imminent? And the crisis was not imminent for Social Security as far as many members of Congress was concerned. As an aside, one thing I proved is that you can actually campaign on the issue and get elected. In other words, I don't believe talking about Social Security is the third rail of American politics. As a matter of fact, think that in the future, not talking about how you intend to fix Social Security is going to be the third rail of American politics. And the one thing about the presidency is that you can only make decisions, you know, on the information at hand. You don't get to have information after you've made the decision. It's not the way it works. And you stand by your decisions and you do your best to explain why you made the decisions you made. There have been disappointments. Abu Ghraib obviously was a huge disappointment during the presidency. You know, not having weapons of mass destruction was a significant disappointment. I don't know if you want to call those mistakes or not, but things didn't go according to plan, let's put it that way. And anyway, I think historians will look back and they'll be able to have a better look at mistakes after some time has passed. Along Jake's question, there is no such thing as short-term history. I don't think you can possibly get the full breadth of an administration until time has passed. You know, where does a president's did a president's decisions have the impact that he thought they would, or he thought they would over time? Or how did this president compare to future presidents, given a set of circumstances that may be similar or not similar? I mean, it's just impossible to do, and I'm comfortable with that. Yeah, Mike.
One of the major objectives that the incoming administration has talked frequently about is restoring America's moral standing in the world. And many of the allies of the new president, and I believe the president-elect himself, has talked about how the damage that Gitmo, that harsh interrogation tactics that they consider torture, how going to war in Iraq without a UN mandate have damaged America's moral standing in the world.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, basically, what is your reaction to that? Do you think that is something that the next president needs to worry about?
I strongly disagree with the assessment that our moral standing has been damaged. It may be damaged amongst some of the elite, but people still understand America stands for freedom, that America is a country that provides such great hope. You go to Africa, you ask Africans about Americans' generosity and compassion. Go to India and ask about, you know, their view of America. Go to China and ask. Now, no question, parts of Europe have said that we shouldn't have gone to war in Iraq without a mandate, but those are a few countries. Most countries in Europe listen to what 1441 said, which is disclose, disarm, or face serious consequences. Most people take those words seriously. Now, some countries didn't, and even though they might have voted for the resolution, I disagree with this assessment that, you know, people view America in a dim light. I just don't agree with that. And I understand Gitmo has created controversies, but when it came time for those countries that were criticizing America to take some of those detainees, they weren't willing to help out. So, you know, I just disagree with the assessment, Mike. Listen, I tell people, yeah, you can try to be popular. In certain quarters in Europe, you can be popular by blaming every Middle Eastern problem on Israel. Or you could be popular by joining the International Criminal Court. Or I guess I could have been popular by accepting Kyoto, which I felt was a flawed treaty, and proposed something different and more constructive.